Interviews and insights with the biggest names in Canadian baseball. This is the CBN podcast.
Team Canada got exactly what they needed from starter Noah Skiro, and Otto Lopez had the big blow with a 3-run home run as Canada picked up a much-needed 5-0 win over Colombia last night, Jackson.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I think, the Great Britain game and the USA game, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, how neither of them were great games, right? This one was a much more suspenseful and I think a lot more, frankly, of an entertaining game. What a pitching performance. I think we start there with Noah Skiro. Not only did he give them length, he had to give them length, Matt, considering Mitch Bratt and Cal Quantrill didn't get out of the first inning in either of their starts. So, the bullpen was in a little bit of a precarious position, and Noah Skiro did exactly what he needed to do for Team Canada.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, one total inning out of Bratt and Quantrill. They get 5 out of Skiro, 2 hits. You only walked one, which was nice to see. They only walked one batter in the entire game, and he struck out 5 on 58 pitches. Exactly what they needed. And like you said, it was a much more clean game. We talked about how Great Britain and the US were ugly ones. Well, this certainly was not. Ernie Whitt must be happy after that one.
No kidding. And he told us, look, all that matters is winning against Great Britain, Colombia, Mexico. We can lose against the U.S. and still get in. And so far, it's played out exactly how he's sort of prophesized it and how they've needed to go about their business. And so they're one win away, right? And I got to go back to the bullpen, too. I mean, what a performance, just the pitching staff in general. 5 hits in general over the course of the entire game. Taylor comes in, 2 huge innings. Hey, he looked great. How about Brigden? We talked a little bit about him in our roster preview show, about a guy who might come in maybe in the 6th, 7th inning. Well, he comes in as a setup man, strikes out 2 guys, gets the job done. And Matheson comes in after, of course, Otto Lopez had hit that 3-run shot. But wow, great pitching top to bottom. And it puts them in a really good spot today against Mexico.
Yeah, they're in a great spot. And the thing to remember with Brigden was it was a 2-0 game at that point.
Yeah.
It was a tight game. Brash was up in the bullpen. It's funny you mentioned Taylor. I thought he looked real good. He looked pretty good against Great Britain too. Not built on that outing and had an even better outing against Colombia. And it's funny when Lopez hit that 3-run home run, my first thought was, I think you sit Brash down. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. They went with Matheson. He gave him a couple of hits, but at the end of the day, no runs, and they ended up winning the game. So that creates even a better scenario for Canada today. Brash is completely fresh, hasn't pitched since that Great Britain game. He most definitely will get into this game today.
Yeah, and you got to think he could probably go a couple innings too if necessary, right? If it's a tight game, maybe it's a 1-2-0 lead. I don't know what the rest of their bullpen's going to be looking like, to tell you the truth. Brash might need to give them 2 innings here, which he is certainly capable of. It'd be cool to see that. Another friend of the show, guest on this show as well. So, yeah, I mean, so many great things happened yesterday, right? The pitching was awesome, some clutch hitting, right? And yet, kind of one of the biggest stories is a disappointing one, that Freddie Freeman left early with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, and I saw a report that he won't play today. I think it was Shai Davidi actually mentioned that they can't replace him until if they move on, and that they might check in on Josh Naylor if there is issues with Freeman. I don't think we'll see Freeman again just because of the nature of the tournament, the time of year it is. The Dodgers will certainly have a say in that. So yeah, definitely unfortunate, but the rest of the lineup stepped up. I mean, Freeman 0 for 2 yesterday. Edward Julian had 3 more hits. O'Neill had 2 hits. Lopez with 2 hits. Owen Casey stepped up again. So they're getting production throughout the lineup still.
I thought Owen Casey, you mentioned him. He's been fantastic this tournament, I think. Really, Tyler O'Neill, he's also been really good. Freeman is obviously a massive loss, but it's not like he's the hottest hitter on the planet at the moment. Obviously, he's the best hitter in this lineup, no question. But to me, right now, this tournament is just about a right now situation. So Freeman's out. Well, some of these other guys in the lineup are hitting. Like you talk about Otto Lopez, he's hitting, right? Bo Naylor. We'll see what he can kind of perhaps bring. I feel like there's a little more potential for a big moment in that bat. He's looked a lot better. He looked a lot better rather yesterday, I thought, at the plate. So it'll be really interesting to see Edward Julian. How about leading off 3 for 4 again? He's been awesome, stealing bases. He's doing everything out there. So we'll see how perhaps the absence of Freeman will play, and especially in a big game where maybe experience and having a former MVP who's won a World Series would help, perhaps. But still, you know what? You play with who you got, right? And they're still in a great spot here against Mexico. Obviously disappointing though, and I like how Shai mentioned Josh Naylor, maybe Canada reaching out to him. Shai Davidi is one of those guys where if he kind of mentions something a couple of days later, it often happens, and you're like, huh.
Yeah.
Oh, Shai Davidi said that, and now it's happening. I'm not saying that Josh Naylor's for sure going to come to Team Canada or not. If they win this game, they still got to take care of business today against Mexico, which is not an easy task. But definitely something to consider, that Shai usually doesn't get these things wrong very often. He usually doesn't throw these things out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he heard it from somewhere. Let's just put it that way. And yeah, obviously not to downplay taking Freeman out of the lineup. You take Freddie Freeman out of any lineup anywhere, and it makes the lineup worse. But you look through the box score yesterday, there's hits from all over. You said Bo Naylor had a big hit. I thought Naylor looked better behind the plate. There's that strike him out, throw him out with Skiro early in the game, so that was nice to see. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting game today, that's for sure.
The Baseball Zone's semi-private clinics are coming back for a new spring session. Small classes, more one-on-one instruction from top coaches, and access to the best baseball technology. From the end of April to early June, you can develop your hitting or pitching skills as you enter the summer season. Sign up today at thebaseballzone.ca before they're gone. These young guys look comfortable, and I think that that's a huge credit to Ernie Witt, Greg Hamilton, right? It's a huge credit to Team Canada's staff in general that they're able to get these guys, Edward Julian and Otto Lopez and Bo Naylor and Casey and most of the pitchers, like they've come to play, and they're not scared of anything. And so it's really, really exciting. Like, you know what I mean? Like yesterday was such a fun game to watch.
I give a lot of credit to Greg Hamilton and the junior national team, because a lot of these guys have played against professionals. They go on their trips to Dominican, Florida, all over, playing world championships. So they're used to that kind of atmosphere where they're playing maybe like professional players, to be honest. And so when they get to this stage, obviously it's a much bigger stage, national TV, bigger crowds, but they're used to that kind of playing up to where they need to play.
They mentioned on the broadcast too a little bit about how sort of having that experience prior to this tournament, playing for your country, actually would really help you a lot. And I think we're seeing that. So you flip the page now to today, and looks like it's going to be Rob Zastryzny with the start for Team Canada against Jose Urquidy, who has a career 374, easy for me to say, ERA at the big league level in 342 innings. This is an established starter, right? This is someone who it's going to be difficult to get hits off of. What can we expect, do you think, today in this matchup and this intensity in this game at 3:00?
Well, I think, Canada's sending a pretty experienced starter too, so it should be a good matchup. I think this is going to be a lot about Canada kind of weathering the storm early. You face Urquidy, like you said, you mentioned the numbers, established big league arm. If they can get through the first 2 or 3 innings, maybe scoreless, I think they'll be feeling pretty good if they can get in that Mexican bullpen.
Yeah, hang around. That's right. You get to keep some of the big hitters in this Mexican lineup quiet, right? Don't let Rowdy Tellez hit a big shot. That Joey Meneses, he's been hot. Keep him quiet. Paredes, he can change the game quickly with one swing of the bat. Or Rosarena has a flair for the dramatic, right? So there's guys in this lineup who can definitely hit. I would say definitely a better squad than the Colombian one they faced yesterday. I think this has a potential for a really good game. Both teams are going to be super motivated. You look at the standings, you look at kind of everything. Both teams are 2-1, right? The stakes are going to be extremely high, and it's going to be a lot of fun, Matt. So that's your tee up for this game today. Urquidy against Zastryzny, 3:00 Eastern. Okay, and this is it. I mean, winning, you're in for Canada. The old "if I told you" game with Ernie Witt, right? If I told you that you'd have done kind of what you expected to do, beat Great Britain and Colombia and lost to the USA. Would you take it? And I think he would say absolutely, even with Freddie Freeman on the sidelines, Matt.
Yeah, I think this is exactly how they drew it up. So now it comes down to getting it done on the field against a very good Mexico team. But it's not out of reach. The path to the quarters is still there. And that's a wrap for the Colombia-Canada recap. We're looking forward to this Canada-Mexico game this afternoon, and we'll be back tomorrow with a recap of it all.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to check out Canadian Baseball Network for extensive and comprehensive coverage of the latest in Canadian baseball. And the Baseball Zone, Canada's leading instructional baseball academy and training home to thousands of MLB pro, college, and youth baseball players.